How's it going, everyone? So I got an idea. Um, I guess it was at one point last week or somewhere around there. I got an idea for a new series that I hadn't really seen anybody else done before. So I decided, fuck it. I'll do one video of it and see how it goes over. If it goes over good, I'll keep doing it. And yeah. Um, It's going to be called Let's Talk Melodic Death Metal. Melodic death metal has always been one of my favorite subgenres of metal. It's just something about it. Um, so basically, what I'm going to be doing in each episode is selecting a specific melodic death metal record, and then and then basically talking about it and shit, talking about the band. So I mean, like, if you guys have any melodic death metal records you want to hear me talk about, um, post in the comments, and then I'll consider using them for future episodes. I'm going to try my best to make this a weekly kind of series, so we get a video once a week of it. Um, yeah. So fuck it. Let's get started. Um, Obviously, this band is one of the bigger names in, well, they're not melodic death metal anymore by any means, but back in the day they were, and they still are one of the bigger names in, melodic death metal. So, first episode we are going to talk about In Flames' Lunar Strain. Their debut album came out in 1994. Um Now, they were not one of they were this was not the first melodic death metal album. Obviously, at the Gates um, had released a few records prior to this, but I mean, at the Gates' earlier stuff wasn't so melodic. Um, I mean, especially like the red in the sky is ours, and stuff like that. It wasn't really that melodic. It was more kind of like grave and entombed sounding. Um, and then, of course, Dark Tranquillity released Sky Dancer a year before this. Came out in '93. So obviously, this was not one of the first one by any means, but was still, you know, arguably one of the first mellow death records. And I chose this In Flames record to talk about because I feel like out of In Flames' entire discography, this one gets talked about the least, and I do not know why. Um, it's probably my third favorite In Flames record after The Jester Race and Horacle. Um, sometimes I almost feel like this is my favorite In Flames record. I mean, there's just so um, with the combination of, obviously, you know, the death metal and the melodies. There's a lot of folky influence on this record, especially, like a lot of acoustic guitars going on. A lot of violins and violas, especially at the beginning of Dreamscape, and fuck, and the title track, or the band track, In Flames. Um, One of my favorite song on the album personally is probably Hargalatin. I fucking love just the voice of that woman. It's fucking awesome. Definitely my favorite track off the album. But now, when this came out, In Flames was more like, they weren't really a band. It was more of like a studio project that Jesper Stromblad started, um, which I find it kind of funny that because Jesper's always been known as the guitarist for In Flames, but he played drums on this album, which is fucking weird. And then I mean, it wasn't like a steady, with this album, it was not a steady lineup. They had a few other guest musicians and stuff, um, which obviously they're not listed on the back. The lineup is right here, but they had some other guest musicians and stuff on this record. Um, yeah, man, I just feel like this is just a criminally underrated In Flames album. And then on top of that, it's got the great Michael Stein on vocals. You know, obviously better known um, for Dark Tranquility, and which was funny because then Anders Frieden did the vocals on Sky Dancer, which was Dark Tranquility's first album. Um, so kind of interesting how they just kind of swapped, even though I think Michael Stein was one of the guitar players in Dark Tranquility for Sky Dancer though at the time. So yeah, man. Just like I said, I feel like this is the In Flames album that gets talked about the least. Especially when people talk about old school In Flames, they don't really talk about this album. Um, it's just blows my mind. It's such a fucking great record. Um, and then Behind Space, that opening track is just fucking just it comes in just fucking just blazing, and then at the end it's got that fucking really just beautiful acoustic thing going on at the end of that song, which is awesome. Fuck, man. I mean, if you have not heard this record, you definitely need to. I mean, especially if you like melodic death metal, this is a record that's a must listen. Fucking great, man. So yeah, not really much else to say. Other than, I mean, obviously I'll post a link for this in the description. Um, so for those of you who have not heard it, can go check it out. So yeah, In Flames with Lunar Strain. Good shit. So yeah, guys. Like I said, this is basically gonna be the series. Just the episodes are gonna be pretty short, which I'm sure most of you will prefer that. Because I know long videos are just like, oh my god, you know. So, but yeah, man. If you guys, I mean, there's definitely a lot more albums that I have planned to talk about, but if you guys have any that you would just really want to hear me talk about, it's gotta be melodic death metal, so nothing, yeah. And it doesn't have to be Swedish melodic death metal. It can be any melodic death metal. So yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Leave that shit in the comments if you have any albums, any mellow death albums that you want me to talk about, and I will obviously consider them. So yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this new series I'm starting. Like I said, I'm gonna give it a week or so and see how it goes over with everybody. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.